The average modern man has no concept of hard work, sacrifice, or commitment. They are so obsessed with modern pleasures and the continued experience of those pleasures that they don't want to take any sort of action or any sort of risk, let alone experience the discomfort of a few hours of a hard workout. And the worst part, these modern dopamine addictive activities keep men down and depressed. It creates a vicious cycle. You see it all the time in the gym. If I can speak plainly for a minute, I'm surrounded by soft losers. People who train to mild discomfort, people who scroll between sets. You can just tell that these people are not present during their workouts. It's almost like, if I didn't know any better, it's almost like instead of being at the gym to, push their limits, to train really hard, or to build something of substance, to build some actual muscle, it's like they're there just because they know that they're supposed to be there. Like they're just like clocking into work, like they're 9 to 5 or something. Like they just punch their card and they show up. You people have to understand that that doesn't count for much at all. It doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, if you're a complete loser who's never done anything at all in their life and you just showed up to the gym, yeah, that's the first step. But you have to actually train hard. That's the whole point. These are the same people who, are constantly blaming their genetics, are looking for the newest gimmick, the newest hack to, realize their new gains, their new aesthetic body, lose their, 10 pounds of body fat. They're always coming up with some excuse as to why they can't do it, why they aren't doing it, and why, people who work hard can. And you can tell when it comes to their diet, it's going to be the exact same story. They're not going to be consistent with it. They're not going to be disciplined with it. They're not going to make it a priority. They're going to slack off. They're going to go partying. They're going to miss out their protein. They're going to miss out their meals. And they're going to give in to their urges. The harsh truth is the average person, if you're watching this and you're struggling to grow, the truth is you forgot how to train hard. You don't know. You don't understand it. And the reason is your dopamine receptors are fried. Hard work, hitting a hard workout, going to the gym, doing something extremely hard, is supposed to feel good. You're supposed to feel motivated to do it. You're supposed to feel good before. You're supposed to feel motivated. And after, you're supposed to, again, feel good. The issue is everyone's dopamine receptors are so fried that they can't even leave their house to go to the gym. It's like there's too much stimulus around them for them to realize that they need to get up and go outside in order to actually experience a satisfaction in the long term. There's too much music, scrolling on your phone, social media, pornography, all of this stuff. Do you know there's multiple guys who I talk to who are pretty close to me who can't even go one day without masturbating. They can't go one day without touching themselves. Can you imagine that? What the hell, man? Here's the fix that you need. You need to do some hard stuff. You need to pursue doing hard things. Turn on soldier mode. Turn on mission mode. Use your masculine desire to see something of meaning and substance through to the end. Not something that's going to take, 1 hour or half a day. Something that's going to take weeks, months, or even years to accomplish. Something that you work on really hard today, but you don't see the results of for a long time in the future. I know it might sound like I'm starting to be some kind of tyrannical, weirdo right now. I'm telling you not to experience pleasure. But just hear me out, okay? By maximizing the amount of pleasure that you can feel right now, you are making yourself get to the point where nothing makes you feel pleasure. By constantly taking the most dopamine addicting, pleasureful path of least resistance, scrolling your phone, going pornography, listening to music, playing video games, all these things, watching TV, the things that you feel like doing are making it so that nothing you do will give you pleasure. And worst of all, it makes it so that you cannot accomplish your long-term goals because instead you're stuck doing things that don't do anything for you in the long run. So what's the reframe? How do we change this? So right now we have a default setting, which is what's the most amount of pleasure I can feel right now, whether it's, playing a video game or, going on some social media, scrolling through your phone, listening to music, jerking off, whatever it is. Instead of thinking, what's the most pleasurable thing I can do right now? Use a reframe and change your default path into what's the most meaningful thing I can do right now? Or what would the best version of myself do right now? Or how can I win tomorrow? Tomorrow is not one tomorrow. Tomorrow is one today. So think about how you can win tomorrow or next month or next year. These key reframes are going to make it so that you actually are going to do stuff that's going to give you long-term satisfaction. And trust me, even in the short term, at the end of the day, you'll start to feel more satisfied with the work that you've put in, even though you don't see any results. You'll just be more satisfied with yourself. Even though you're feeling less pleasure, you're experiencing less dopamine rushes, you're just gonna feel the satisfaction of doing hard work. That's what being a man is all about. If you want the real hardcore black pill version of this reframe, which I've just started to implement a little bit, it's actually what's the hardest thing I can do right now? I've started to try and implement this more and more in my life. Because the honest truth is, the things that we're running from is exactly where we need to be running towards. Whether that be a social interaction, a confrontation, a Muay Thai lesson, a workout, leaving home, whatever it is. All of these things, whatever you feel like doing the least is oftentimes the thing that you need to do the most. There's a reason why people of the 70s and 80s were a lot more jacked than people of the last 20 years. Us modern men feel way too much pleasure. We're not motivated enough to push ourselves hard enough in the gym. I truly believe the people who trained back in the 70s and 80s genuinely felt real pleasure, real rushes when they trained close to failure, when they pushed themselves to the maximum. They were probably amped, they were probably pumped, they were hyped to, realize the full potential of their body. Nowadays, I can't imagine my peers in the gym doing that. It's very, very uncommon to see, people training balls to the wall, people actually pushing themselves hard enough. The man as a whole is entirely different now compared to 30, 40 years ago. If you want to unlock that kind of energy, that kind of primal sort of instincts that we have as men, you need to just rewire your brain. You need to reset your dopamine and you need to lock the fuck in. Become the man that you were always meant to be. It's time to stop being, that little boy who always wants to experience the most amount of pleasure they possibly can. It's time to finish the mission. It's time to do something of substance and stop letting, modern degeneracy hold you down. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you liked it. Check out my link in the description if you want a free routine. Otherwise, like the video if you did. Subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you guys in the next one.